If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
All right. Welcome to the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. We are your hosts, Dave Foy with
Damon Egan.
And we are here to talk about all things fixed ops and maybe some other stuff completely unrelated to fixed ops.
Yeah, between the two of us, I'm sure that that's probably going to happen.
No doubt. So today is our intro episode. So I will start. I am Dave Foy. I have been in the fixed ops space since 1987. Started as a tech, was terrible as a tech, so I moved into being an advisor, up through a manager to my current role as a director of a fixed ops department, and also running the Fixed Ops Mastermind, weekly virtual show, which Damon is a part of on most weeks. And Damon, how about yourself? Where'd you come from?
Well, I've been in the automotive industry for almost 20 years now and been in the fixed ops side for about 15 years. I really don't come from an automotive background, come from a business background, but it translates from one to the other pretty easily. So even though I'm not a technician and don't know anything about cars, yeah, I can still do it.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people talk about, isn't it? That if you didn't come from this world, then you can't operate in this world. And I think, although I did come from this world, I think that's a fallacy. And I think you are a guy who is absolutely disproving that notion that you need to come from this world to be successful here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I talked to so many people over the course of my career, and they've said, well, I couldn't do that because I don't know anything about cars and I don't know anything when it comes to automotive. Yeah, so what? Neither do I. But if you can talk to people, then you don't have a problem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a relationship business, and people just happen to bring their cars along with them. That's
100%, 100%.
And there's no doubt about that. If you can't build a relationship, not only can you not succeed here, you can't really succeed anywhere in your life.
Well, and that's exactly it. You've got to be able to build those relationships with people and really kind of have that connection. And it doesn't matter if it's in business, your personal life, your family life. That's what you have to do, is build those bonds, build those connections, and then people are going to keep coming back.
Right. And I think that's one of the reasons that you and I have been successful in this industry is there's a lot of people in this industry that are strictly focused on numbers, period. It's all about numbers. And at the end of the day, we all need to make a profit for our ownership, the dealers, the investment companies, if you're so owned that way. And in the end, it's about making money, but you can't make money if you can't build a relationship. So it all comes full circle back to building relationships to make your profits the most that they can be.
Yeah, 100%. You hit it right on the head, Dave. It's, this is this is a relationship business. Always has been, always will be. Nowadays, with the technology that we've got out there, people are trying to make it more transactional and less personal, and we really should be evolving the other way and really teaching our people, our coworkers, how to build relationships rather than it be transactional with technology.
Right. And the technology is certainly there to support you along the way and to make part of this job easier. But you've still got to build that relationship, and you'll never build that relationship through a text message with a customer, or even a video from a technician. Certainly that helps, and it gives the customer a connection to the technician. But you'll never get that full transparency and relationship value sale that you will from building face-to-face relationships. And that's why in this business, you may have things like kiosks that'll come in that will help certain areas be better, but you'll never see a kiosk completely replace the person at the front desk greeting that customer and talking to that customer and being an advisor to that customer. Hence the reason they're called service advisors and not service writers anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is all about the customer and the relationships that we can build to maximize not only the relationships, but the profitability. And hopefully that's what we're going to teach everybody in the coming weeks, months, years, or however long they can keep us on here or till we get booted off.
Well, we have nobody paying us to be here, so we can stay here as long as we want, brother.
All right, then we can roll.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the relationships a little bit. One of the things that obviously helps build that relationship is the walk around. And even if you are at a store that doesn't have a drive, I know there's still plenty of stores out there that don't. You can still build that relationship with the customer. If you're going to do the walk around, it's got to be purposeful, and yet it can't feel transactional to the customer. So you certainly have points that you need to hit on. You've got to look at mileage. You've got to start the vehicle up and look for lights on the dash. You've got to do the walk around for the damage, but not making it all about that. But while you're doing that, there's things that you can look for in the car to start your relationship with that customer. A bumper sticker that says, "I love poodles," a bumper sticker that says, "I love everybody named Damon." Anything you can, and who doesn't? You've got to find those things where you can make a connection and start a conversation with someone.
Well, you bring up such a great point there, and I've been in a lot of service drives and I've talked to a lot of advisors. And one thing that just blows my mind that I see all the time is an advisor will start with a customer. Customer comes in, "Hi, how you doing? What are you in for today?" Blah, 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 blah. And then comes the critical words. "I'm just going to do a walk around on your vehicle and I'll be right back." Now, those are so infuriating. Basically, you stand here, Mr. Customer. I'm going to leave. I'm going to spot all the damage on your vehicle so I don't get in trouble for it when you try and come back at me. That's exactly what the customer is thinking. And it's so horrible. This is where we need to really start to have that relationship with the guest that comes in, because then you can find common ground. See, the car is just a commodity, but it's the customer's commodity. It's the guest's baby. I don't know how many times we've heard that previously from customers when they come in is, "It's my baby." Well, let's talk about your baby, and let's talk about what's good and what's not so good. Not just, "Let me do a walk around your vehicle." Nobody even knows what the hell that means.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. What they picture in their head is, "I'm checking it out for damage." Just like when you rent a car and they say, "Let's take a walk around the car." They're not walking around the car because it is your baby. They're walking around the car so they can point out any damage that isn't there for when you bring it back and there is damage. And
That's
only a
it.
small, and that's only a small function of the walk around, right? I mean, you can probably count on both hands how many times a customer has actually come back in and said that you damaged their car. It really doesn't happen that much. I'd like to believe that most people out there in the world are not like that. And a lot of times when somebody does come back in and say that, it's usually because it's on the passenger side usually, where they never go. But then after they were at your dealership, they did a walk around on their car. and saw damage. It's usually not something that actually happened at the dealership, but it's when I hear those words that you just talked about, it screams missed opportunity.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, this is the critical time when you can start to forge and build that relationship with your guest that's in front of you, because you've got common ground to talk about. And when you're just using it as a CYA tool, then it doesn't become relationship building. It becomes what we were talking about earlier, about going back to transactional. And then you're just putting up that wall with your guest, and nobody needs to do that.
Right. Well, when you go to Best Buy to buy a video camera or a vacuum cleaner, whatever it is, that they don't take you away from the vacuum cleaners that you're looking at over to another section of the store to then talk to you about the vacuum cleaner, right? They keep you there at the vacuum cleaners while they talk about them and get you to decide on which one to buy.
Exactly.
So why would you take a customer away from the car, which is what you're going to expect them to purchase things on, and take them completely somewhere else to discuss purchasing things on their car, which, like you said, is their baby. A lot of people have names for their cars. I don't think a lot of people have names for their vacuum cleaners.
Well, no, probably not. And, I was going to say, I call my vacuum cleaner wife, but no, that's just going a little past there. Hopefully my wife doesn't listen to this, or you can edit that out, whichever.
Yeah. We may have to edit that one. As we said, the purpose of our show here is to bring fixed ops expertise and ideas to others in the industry to help leave this business a little bit better than we found it. I think both of us are working hard to do that, and to look at things a little bit differently than maybe a lot of other people do. As we said, it's not just about the numbers. And so how do you start to forge that relationship with your advisors? Just as we're going to expect them to forge a relationship with the customer, we need to teach them that skill. And certainly one of the best ways is by imitation. So what is it that you do to help build up those skills in your advisors by how you interact with them?
All right. So we kind of go off the beaten path with what I do. And, I'm just kind of on a side note here. I'm really happy that we're doing this because, Dave, you and I have been in the business a long time, and you and I can probably count on one hand, the number of training programs that are available out there where people are just trying to sell you things. We'll give you a little nugget here and there, but other than that, buy our program and then you'll be good to go. Now, this is all free stuff that works in the industry because we're actually in the industry. We're doing it. We're working the drive every day. We're working with our advisors and our teams. And a lot of places, man, they're just out to sell you anything. And we're not about that. We're here to help you if you're an advisor, if you're an appointment coordinator, BDC member, even down to porters, man. Like this is what we're here for. This is what we do. And this is going to provide anyone that's listening some real information that you can really apply to your business, to your drive, to your job, to your career, and gonna make it go to the next level.
Absolutely. I love that. And as you said, we're not here. We said at the beginning, nobody's paying us to be here. So this is us talking to you, hoping that we can impart some of what I've spent over 30 years in the business learning. A lot of it was hard-earned knowledge, and I want to be able to pass that on to some others to make it easier for other people who are coming up into this industry, which by the way, is an awesome industry to make a career in, not just have a job. And you can go far, you can make a lot of money, you can make a difference in people's lives in keeping their vehicles running. A lot of these people, the vehicle, their family is dependent on that vehicle for that person to make the money, to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, pay for the dance classes, whatever it is. It's more than a car to a lot of people. So, to be able to get people into this industry and have them look at it as a career is one of the things that I certainly cherish being able to help with.
100%, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. So now that we've kind of gone off the beaten path, now we'll kind of take a diversion, make a right turn at Albuquerque, and get back to the question that you just asked. All right. So here's the deal. Is that a lot of service departments, a lot of service managers, fixed ops directors have no clue about how to sell things. Because where does all the training go in a dealership? It goes to the sales department. Let's show you how to sell cars. Let's show you how to overcome objections. Let's show you how to get past objection stalls. Well, let's take that information. Let's take those sales courses and apply them to our service advisors. You cannot put service advisors on the drive with a gun and no bullets, because that's exactly what happens. How many times have you seen it, Dave, when you walked on a drive and it's former technicians that are on there that are talking above the customers' heads, or you've got inexperienced advisors and they present, and then when the customer says, no, I need to think about it, or no, I need to talk to my wife, and they just stand there with a blank face or look like a deer in the headlights. Happens all the time because they don't know what to say. So here's tip number one. If you're a service manager or fixed ops director, have your service advisors go to the Saturday morning sales meeting. Let them
There you
go.
go.
Let them learn something on how to sell.
Great. Love that one.
You know, it's all too often we see it. We see it where we put people on a drive. Now, tell me this hasn't happened to you before, Dave. You hire a new advisor and you say, okay, Johnny, here's your first day, and you're going to be partnered up with Sally, who's been here a few years, and she's going to show you the ropes. Show you the ropes. She's going to put you on the ropes, because this is what's going to happen. Just do what I do and follow what I do, and you'll be fine. And I'm going to show you all the shortcuts that I take so you can subvent the process of what's supposed to happen. And we're teaching them all the bad habits. We're not teaching them anything good. In fact, you're probably not teaching them anything at all.
Yeah, and then we're gonna get all pissed off in a couple of months when that new advisor is doing awful things and taking shortcuts, and we're gonna be like, how's that possible? Well, because you put him with Sally Shortcut, and
Exactly.
That's what he learned.
Exactly. And then first month's numbers are not bad. Second month numbers are okay. Third month, they start to tail off. Fourth month, tailing off again. They don't last 6 months because now all of a sudden the job's too hard. Oh, nobody's buying. Oh, nobody's this, nobody's that. It just becomes excuses.
Yep.
So
and we have nobody to blame in the end there, but ourselves, right, for not giving them the training that they deserved, not that they just should have, that they deserve to have. And it's a common theme in our industry where you're a technician and you're either a technician like me who wasn't that good, so you want to get out of the shop, or you're a technician who just said, you know what, I'm 35, but my knees are already killing me. I'm going to go try and be an advisor. And you figure because you got some technical knowledge, you can do the job. And we say, yeah, great, he's got some technical knowledge, and we plop him at the desk, show him how to write an RO, and that's it. We leave it from there.
yeah, and that's the worst thing. The worst thing that you can do is have somebody that talks over everybody's head because they've got a little bit of knowledge. Can't have it. Can't do it, because all that does is frustrate the customer, frustrates everybody. So, you know, when I recruit advisors, I don't look for an advisor from the automotive industry. Never have.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're an A shooter, top level, top gun, came from somewhere. Usually they come with baggage. So tip number 2, don't hire them. You know, I always look for people who can make relationships with people. That's the biggest thing. You know, when you go into, like you said, Best Buy, what's the first thing they say? It's a greeting, right? Hi, how you doing today?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing they tell you, I don't work on commission. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now all of a sudden my guard's down because now I'm just having a conversation. And that's what these people, these salespeople, retail people, man, if they're not working on commission, they're going to be your best people because they know how to build relationships. They're not in it for the money, the big bad dollar that we're all looking for.
Yeah, the evil almighty dollar.
Yeah, it's true. I
Um,
mean, how many times have you hired an advisor from a different dealership? They come in and they tell you all the great things they did at their previous store, and then they come in and just drop the ball completely because
mhm.
they think that they know it all, and then they come to your store and they bomb out, and they usually last 6 months, if that.
Right.
And that is a waste of dollars. That's a waste of time. When you equate how much time and money you waste on an advisor after they leave, it's thousands of dollars for guaranteed salaries, for training, for all these things. And it's just a colossal waste of time. So what I like to do with my advisors is we set them up with a very succinct process. This is how you have to do things. This is what's required to work in our store is follow this process. If you can't follow it, you can't work here. It's kind of militaristic. I get it, but it works. And especially in the times that we're in right now, you've got to have a process.
Absolutely. There's the winging it, I guess you can call it. Has its place in time, but it's certainly not at the service desk. You should be well versed in what your job is, well versed in your sales language to overcome objections, whatever those objections may be, and you should certainly be well versed in what the store's process is for A, B, and C. Whatever that may be, for opening an RO, for closing an RO, for generating a purchase order, for what you're allowed to give away in service policy to keep a customer happy, whatever it is, you should be versed in that policy and understand it and live it every single day.
You make such a great point there, and I'm just going to go back to something that you just said about winging it. If if I get arrested for murder, I don't want my lawyer winging it. I want to I want to have the lawyer know what he's doing. And this is the same thing. I'm not saying that if you're a service advisor that you can get somebody off for murder. Don't take that, but you know but you've got to have a process. You absolutely have to have a process. So, for service advisors that are out there listening to this, you probably work with somebody who shows up 5 minutes before the doors open, just enough time to kick their computer on and check their makeup or check Facebook or whatever. And then the doors go up and they have no idea who is coming to see them. None.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then that's when the chaos starts, right? The drive-through chaos. There's too many cars, people running around. Nobody knows what's going on. It's bananas. And it can all be avoided with like 10 minutes. 10 minutes the night before, go over the next day's appointments, see what's going on, look for opportunities, and look who's coming in. Hey, what color car is it that I'm going to be seeing first so I know to look out for that car? What's the person's name? What did they do previously? Are there any open recalls? Is there any declined work? Those are the things that you can do to avoid the chaos. But usually it's people want to get out of there as quickly as possible and want to come in just before the lights go on.
Right. Yeah. That what you just talked about right there is one of the biggest things that you'll see between an advisor who chose this as a career and an advisor who's doing this as a job to make some money. Because the advisor, male or female, that is doing this for a career is going to be the person who gets there before the doors open and is there after the doors close to make sure that their stuff is right for the next day, that if your store is generating pre-work orders, that their pre-work orders are in order, that they've looked over the history of that vehicle, they have the recall printout ready to go, the VIN print, whatever it is, whatever brand you're working for. And so when that customer comes in, they're not running that stuff then. So when they can respect that customer's time because they took the time to be ready ahead of time. If you went to buy a house, you'd be pretty ticked off if you walked in, they told you to come in at 8:15. You walked in there and they hadn't done any, they hadn't gotten pre-approvals. They hadn't called the bank, whoever it is. They didn't schedule the lawyer to be there. Whatever it is, those things where we show respect for the customer's time are one of the things that are going to help us build that relationship with that customer. And that's all about the training of the advisor, because if you don't show them that stuff and you don't show them the value that they get by doing that, then they will never do it. Or I shouldn't say never. You'll have some people who will pick up on that. But for the most part, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do those things, and they're not going to understand why they're not doing them.
Mm-hmm. Here's another big thing that I hear in a lot of service drives. We've always done it that way.
Oh, I hate it.
Those are the words of the devil.
Ooh.
Look, here's the real deal. If you ever hear those words, we've always done it that way, walk away from that person, because they are not ever going to change. No, we know a lot of people in this business, and we hear it. I mean, Dave, I know you and I are both students of many podcasts, videos in this business. We try and get our hands on as much training as possible for not only ourselves, but for our team members. So, there's, something that I listen to a lot, and this guy's preaching, you can make $100,000 in this business, and without a college education or without a lot of formal training, things like that. So people go after the fast money. Yeah, I want to make 6 figures. Okay, if you're making 6 figures in the world, then you need to start being a professional. Because people that are Instagram stars making that kind of coin, yeah, they don't have a whole lot of skills if they're promoting products. But you know what? If you're making 100 G's in your business, you got to be a really, really good professional to do that. And you're not going to do it by winging it. We all know that. We've seen people flame out as quickly as they come in, but it's the ones that prepare every single day. I mean, Tiger Woods, he practices. He's one of the best golfers in the world. He practices every day. Right. Why? Michael Jordan practiced every day. Kobe Bryant practiced every day, harder than most people. Best basketball player in the world at one point, and practice every day. So why does that happen? Because preparation before the lights go on is the most critical time.
Absolutely. There's too much of an expectation sometimes, not just around this business, but around a lot of them, that you can just be successful. And you even mentioned some of the Instagram people, and unless you're somebody who's, the guy that's got the 6-pack that's just out there taking shirtless pics or whatever. But honestly, even that guy, he did the work to get that body, right? So, he's putting in preparation too.
100%. 100%. And the successful people do. If your name is Kardashian, damn, you don't think that those people aren't working hard? They're working hard to build their brands. They just make doing nothing look easy. But behind the scenes, that's a lot of hard work to look like you're doing nothing.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've had points in my life where I was doing nothing and I didn't get famous from it, but that's because I didn't work very hard at doing nothing. So, the preparation is the key to success. Hard work, and it doesn't have to mean hard work as in out digging ditches or, laying down roads or anything like that. That's not necessarily what hard work means. And hard work has taken on a negative connotation in our society now, right?
100%. 100%.
You've got the 4-hour work week and all that great stuff, and you can make money by not working hard, but physically not working hard, yes.
Well, I'm not working hard right now, but if there's advertisers out there, we'd like your money.
There you go. Thank you very much.
But this is exactly it. I mean, we have to be able to perfect our craft. What we do is a skill, and to make that skill better, you have to practice. You have to be prepared. And a lot of people go through the motions. That's the difference between being a player on the New York Yankees and playing for Tampa Bay. I mean, that's just a difference, man. Like that's what it is. Why do the best players go, to the best teams, like the best teams that consistently win championships? Why do all the players want to go there, take pay cuts just to go there? Man, why is everybody going to Tampa right now to play with Tom Brady? Why is everybody doing that? I mean,
Yeah.
if there is an NFL season this year, but I mean,
Right.
why does everybody now want to go to Tampa? Because he's a
Mhm.
proven winner. Because Tom Brady at 43 years old is preparing every single day. You think he's at home right now playing Candy Crush? Hell no.
Absolutely
He's
not.
throwing
Nope.
footballs in the backyard or doing training or whatever. But that is the difference. That's the difference between being a pro and just being a 9-to-5 ham and egger, come to work with your lunch pail and go home at 5 o'clock and complain to your wife and your kids.
Right. Exactly. Preparation will get you to where you want to go.
Exactly.
We started this out with talking about training up our advisors, and I think your point of taking the advisors into the Saturday morning or whatever morning your dealership does their all hands on deck sales meeting is an awesome idea. Let the advisors see what these salespeople are getting for training and what they're being spoken to about by their general manager, GSM, whoever it is that's in there giving them the speech. But you can bet that they're talking about overcoming objections, and they're talking about which vehicle is becoming old age that they need to point out and work on. The same as we do for certain services. And they will get valuable information from doing that. That was an awesome idea.
Yeah. One of the things that I like to promote to my team as well is personal development. And I know, what we're trying to do here is some sort of personal development. I mean, you listen to two old guys who don't know what the hell they're talking about, but, you have to start learning on your own, because everything's not going to be handed to you. And yes, the factory, if you work for a dealership, the factories demand that you do their factory training. Great, do it. But there is so much more information out there on the internet that you can get to learn better skills. Because all too often people say, I don't have time. I don't have the money to pay for this. I don't have this. I don't have that. Man, there's so much free stuff out there that you can learn just by Googling whatever. Use your Googler and find something online. You know how many YouTube videos are on there about, different sales tactics, different training courses, whatever. You can get so much free stuff out there, but you have to go and get it. You have to go and learn to make yourself better at your job, your relationship, parenting, whatever. I mean, man, just walk into any bookstore. I mean, there's aisles and aisles and aisles of books of how to do things better. And,
right.
That's what it comes down to, is how much work you're going to put into your profession to make yourself better, not only for yourself, for your team, for your boss, whoever. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. So my dad used to always say, use your noggin, but I think you just changed it to a 21st century, use your Googler.
Yeah, use your Googler.
Use your Googler.
That's the new thing.
It's hashtag use your Googler.
Oh, see, now we're going to go viral. We're going to go viral with that.
This is it. Episode 1 going viral,
there
baby.
You go. So here's another thing that I just wanted to touch on, Dave, and that's the words that we hear a lot too is people are afraid to fail.
Oh,
how many times have you heard that one?
Yeah. How are you gonna move ahead if you never fail?
That's right. And if you're gonna fail fast. Do it, blow it up as big as you can, and start again. Because Dave, I know you and I both have had our ups and downs, our challenges. I mean, I have failed more times than I can count. I have done more stupid things in my life than is humanly possible. Hell, I've done more stupid things today than I did yesterday. So, I mean, it always happens. But if you're going to fail at it epically, learn something from it and move on. Because if you don't fail, you don't learn. And that's such a big thing.
It really is, and I think a lot of people are they take that and they're like, yeah, but I don't have enough money to go and do that, and you don't need a lot of money. We're not saying try open a dealership and fail at that. We're not saying you have to do that, but there are a lot of things in your life that you can give a shot that aren't going to cost you any or very much money, and they will teach you lessons beyond what you could imagine. And they'll teach you more lessons if you fail at them than if you were completely successful. And that is the reason why people who are successful, when they do lose it all, they become successful again. That's not luck.
No, definitely not. It's not luck, because those are experiences that you are going to learn from. And now you know what not to do. That is such a big thing, but people are so petrified of failing. Oh, what happens if? What happens if? I mean, this is our first podcast. We suck at this right now. But so what? We're going to do it again next week, and we're going to be a little bit better, because we're going to listen to this and go, maybe we shouldn't have said that, or maybe we shouldn't do this. But so
like
what?
when your wife hears this.
Exactly. I may not be here next week. But you've got to take the lessons from it. So I'm reading this really great book now by a guy named Larry Winget. And the quote that I pulled from this book, and I'm only a few chapters in, is, if you want something that you don't have, you have to do something you've never done. And that hit like a ton of bricks, man. Like, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy that, to get something that you've never had, you got to do things that you've never done or never thought you would have done, because what you're doing now is not going to get you what you want. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful.
I mean, that's what it comes down to, is that you've gotta fail epically, fail fast. I mean, how many times have you seen Tom Brady throw an interception, Michael Jordan miss a shot, Wayne Gretzky not score a goal? I mean, they failed.
Yeah. Right.
But they kept going. And that's how they became the best at what they did.
Same thing with what we do every single day, right? We learn strategies to deal with our team, to deal with customers, and we try them and we see how they work. And maybe we have to tweak them a little bit. Maybe they epically blow up on us and we go, okay, that one doesn't work. I'm not going to use that again. And that is how you grow, and that is how you learn more. And if you take those lessons, one thing we need to make sure that we tell our listeners is, if you are going to epically fail at something, you need to learn from it. If you fail and learn nothing, then it was just a failure.
That's right. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, so there's a book, Ray Dalio's Principles.
Did you actually get through that whole thing? Did you actually read it all?
So,
because I had to audible that thing. I had to audible.
I audible.
Yeah.
I to be honest, I audible 99% of the stuff. I listen while I'm driving around or while I'm doing stuff at the house and things. I listen to books. I have I get narcolepsy when I read. It's a couple pages and I'm out, man. I can't do it.
You know what?
So,
but you're getting the information via Audible. I know for myself, I love to read books. In the first quarter, I hit 18 books between actually reading them and Audible in this quarter. But that is where you can pull so much information, and not only for your business, but for your life, or even if it's not a book about your business, read another business book on how you can incorporate it into your business. Man, because I'm telling you, you go to a bookstore, there's not going to be a whole lot of books on how to operate a fixed operations department in a dealership. I probably count those on 3 fingers, never mind one hand.
Yeah, I would challenge you to find those at a bookstore. That's
exactly. But I mean, let's look at what some of the other great companies that are really proficient in customer service. Like, let's look at Starbucks or the Ritz-Carlton or Amazon, Zappos. I mean, there are books written about those companies that you can take pieces of and go, oh, I can put that into my business. And
Yeah.
that's what we have to start doing. Like
Yes.
that's what it's all about. You got to.
There's a ton of information that you can take and mold it into what you need in your business. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, a former FBI hostage negotiator. Unbelievable book.
Man, you want to talk about overcoming objections. How about when lives are on the line?
Yeah, life and death. And it's great. It's a great book because he takes you through an actual situation that he had to negotiate, and then he tells you how to use that in your life and in what situations you can use it. And
Exactly.
it's amazing. Amazing. And the book that I'm on right now is called It Takes What It Takes. And it's written by Trevor Mowad. His dad was one of the original mind, I don't know what you call them, whatever, mindset people. He jokes that his dad was always called Mr. Positive, but his big theory is that you should be thinking neutrally. That positive thinking when you're in a bad situation isn't doing shit for you. But negative
we got to
thinking.
put the E on this when we put it up to Apple Podcasts now. You just said a bad word.
Oh, no. I can edit that. So it, he talks about just thinking neutrally. That don't verbalize the negative thoughts. Doesn't mean you have to hold everything in and, be like that. But just don't, boy, I hate going to work. That kind of stuff. That he talks about those negative thoughts being 6 times stronger than having the positive thought of I love going to work. I love going to work, and people trying to convince themselves of that. So, but to rather look at situations neutrally and just keep that negative down. He's like, it's not going to go away. Every one of us has it. It's human nature to think in a negative way. It happens. But just don't verbalize it. Don't bring it out at times when you don't need to. And don't believe that just thinking positive is going to make something happen for you, which goes back to our preparation talk.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, yeah, positive thinking, it's a great and it's a powerful thing. Absolutely. But if you think that you're going to become a billionaire, and have sunshine and roses every day because you're thinking positively, is not going to happen. But you've got to start with that mindset that you are going to go and make something happen. And that's the big difference right there, is that I can think about being great and being this and being that, but unless you're going to go out and execute that plan, nothing is going to happen.
Absolutely. Nothing happens until something happens.
Definitely. Now, we will definitely be posting all these books that we're talking about in the show notes, so you'll be able to see just what the heck we were talking about, as we tend to get off track a little bit.
Yeah, that's for sure. Should have made that left at Albuquerque.
Probably, Bugs.
All right, Damon. Hey, we made it through episode 1, man.
Jeez, that went fast. I can't believe how fast that was.
Pretty crazy, right? We're coming up on 43 minutes right now.
So just enough time. So you got your commute in. You were half asleep for the first little bit. Hopefully you took away something from this, and you can use it into your business or in your everyday life. Man, this was a blast, bro. This was an absolute blast.
It was good fun, and we would be remiss if we didn't tell people to subscribe on whatever podcast app you're listening to. Subscribe to our podcast, share it with your friends. There is no cost except for we ask you to share it with somebody. At least share it with one other person, and help us get this message out there and make this incredible industry even better. Damon, I have loved every second of this, and I look forward to all our upcoming episodes. And this was good stuff.
Brother, it's a blast, and we will be doing this again next week, and hopefully we're a little bit better at it. And if you can leave comments for us and tell us how horrible we were, that would be awesome too.
Absolutely. We welcome all feedback. And so it's time to end our podcast and throw a little music in there to take you into your day. Damon, I will talk to you again next week, and to everyone listening, thank you very much, and we will hear you next week.